In the depths of the sacred river, Umoja, the mother of all, swam gracefully among the whispers of the water. As the goddess of fertility and the ocean, she was revered by all the inhabitants of the land. However, there was a deep longing within her heart. She wished to bear a child who would carry the power of the earth and the elements. One day, while bathing in the waters under the shimmering moonlight, Umoja felt a mysterious force calling to her. It was a divine presence, ancient and powerful, filling her with energy beyond comprehension. The force spoke to her, its voice a mix of thunder and whispering winds, telling her that the time had come for her to give birth to a son who would shape the world. With this, Umoja's womb began to glow with a celestial light. As she closed her eyes, the water around her swelled, and her divine essence was infused with the spirit of iron and fire, marking the conception of Ogun, the future god of war and iron. This miraculous event would forever alter the course of the earth and its inhabitants. In the early hours of the morning, the earth trembled as the heavens prepared for the arrival of Ogun. Umoja, her body glowing with divine energy, felt the first stirrings of the child within her. It was said that the river itself sang to welcome the unborn god. As the moment drew near, Umoja, surrounded by the chorus of nature, gave birth to Ogun, not in the usual way, but through a burst of fire and thunder. He emerged from her in a flash of iron and lightning, his very presence marking the beginning of a new age. Ogun's birth was unlike any other, for he did not cry as most infants would. Instead, he opened his eyes and gazed with wisdom that belied his age. His hands, even as a newborn, clenched tightly around a piece of iron, a symbol of his divine destiny. The other gods, witnessing this sacred event, were filled with awe and trepidation. They knew that this child would become one of the most powerful and influential gods in all of Yoruba mythology. Ogun's destiny had been sealed the moment he was born, and the world would soon witness the rise of a force like no other. From the moment Ogun was born, it was clear that his connection to iron was profound. As he grew, he spent most of his early days by the riverbank, playing with stones and scraps of metal he found scattered around. The first time he touched a piece of iron, something extraordinary happened. The metal seemed to pulse with life, vibrating in his hands as if it were alive. Ogun's small hands gripped the iron tightly, and the energy that flowed through him was both terrifying and exhilarating. It was the power of creation, destruction, and transformation all at once. Umoja, watching from afar, understood the significance of this moment. She knew that her son was destined to shape the world with the very material that was sacred to the gods, iron. It was Ogun's divine birthright, and as he grew older, his abilities with the metal would only increase. He could bend iron, mold it, and forge it into anything he desired. The very river that gave him life seemed to recognize his power, and the fishes and creatures of the water would often gather around him in awe. As Ogun matured, the elders of the Yoruba people began to hear tales of a young child who could manipulate iron. These rumors spread across the land, and the gods themselves took notice. One day, a great challenge was set before Ogun. The great stone mountain, which had long been considered impenetrable, had to be torn down to allow the people to pass through. The mountain was said to be indestructible, and many had failed in their attempts to break it down. This task was given to Ogun, not only as a test of his power but also as a symbol of his future role as the god of iron and war. Ogun approached the mountain with nothing but his bare hands and a piece of iron. As the people watched in silence, he struck the stone with his weapon, sending sparks flying. The impact of his strike reverberated through the land, shaking the very earth. With each blow, Ogun's strength and mastery over iron became more apparent. The mountain cracked and shattered, piece by piece, until it was nothing more than rubble. Ogun's success in this test earned him the admiration of both gods and humans alike, proving that his divine connection to iron was as strong as ever. In the heart of the forest, Ogun found himself standing before a massive pile of raw iron ore, untouched and unrefined. The fire within him, the fire of creation and destruction, burned brighter than ever. It was time for him to begin the sacred work that would define his legacy. The first forge he created was not just a simple hearth, but a great fire that would burn with the essence of the earth itself. With his hammer, Ogun struck the iron, and from it, sparks flew into the sky, turning the darkness into light. As the forge roared to life, Ogun began to mold the iron, shaping it into tools and weapons. The very air around him crackled with energy as he poured his divine essence into every piece he created. His hands moved with incredible speed and precision, and soon, the first tools of civilization were born. The people marveled at the beauty and strength of these tools, and it was clear to them that Ogun was no ordinary god. He was the creator of a new world, one where iron and fire would reign supreme. As Ogun's power grew, so did his confidence. He began to see himself not just as a toolmaker, but as a god in his own right, deserving of the respect and power that came with such a title. However, not all the gods agreed with Ogun's increasing influence. The mighty Orunmila, the god of wisdom, saw Ogun's growing strength as a potential threat to the balance of the divine order. He feared that Ogun's power over iron and war could disrupt the harmony of the heavens. A great conflict broke out between Ogun and Orunmila as the two gods clashed over their visions for the future of the world. Ogun, with his strength and determination, fought with all his might, but Orunmila, with his wisdom and foresight, countered every move. The battle raged on, with neither side willing to yield. In the end, it was Ogun's connection to the earth and the elemental forces that gave him the upper hand, and he emerged victorious. However, the battle left both gods with a newfound respect for each other, and they learned that balance between power and wisdom was essential for the survival of the world. Ogun's victory in his battle with Orunmila marked a turning point in his life. He began to realize that his divine role extended beyond forging tools and weapons. His connection to war and strength meant that he was destined to inspire warriors, those who would fight for justice, honor, and the protection of their people. In the sacred forest, Ogun began to train the first warriors, teaching them the art of combat, the strength of iron, and the value of honor in battle. With each warrior Ogun trained, the Yoruba people became more powerful, their kingdoms expanding and their defenses growing stronger. Ogun's presence was felt on the battlefield, as his warriors fought with an unmatched fierceness and determination. It was said that when Ogun's warriors entered battle, their enemies trembled, for they carried the spirit of the god of iron within them. Ogun had created the warrior spirit, a divine force that would carry on through generations, ensuring that his legacy would live on. As Ogun's influence grew, the people of the earth began to see him not only as a god of war and creation but also as a protector. They would call upon Ogun in times of strife, offering sacrifices in his name to ensure his favor. In one such instance, a great famine struck the land, and the people were desperate. They turned to Ogun, asking for his help to bring prosperity back to the earth. Ogun, ever selfless in his devotion to his people, decided to make a great sacrifice. He offered up a portion of his divine essence, burning himself in the fire of creation to restore the land's fertility. His sacrifice was felt across the world, and the earth responded. The rains came, the crops grew, and the people flourished once again. Ogun's willingness to sacrifice himself for the good of his people cemented his place as not only a god of war but also a god of protection and prosperity. Ogun's forge, where he first created the tools of civilization, continued to burn eternally. It became a sacred site, visited by those seeking the god's favor. Every year, the people would gather to offer sacrifices and prayers to Ogun, asking for strength, protection, and the blessing of iron. The forge was not only a symbol of Ogun's power but also a reminder of his connection to the earth and the divine forces that governed it. Over time, the forge became more than just a place of worship. It became a center of innovation, where the best blacksmiths and artisans would come to learn from Ogun's teachings. It was said that anyone who worked at the forge with true devotion would be blessed with unparalleled skill in shaping iron. Ogun's eternal forge stood as a testament to his legacy, a place where the divine and the earthly met to create a new world of power and possibility. With the knowledge and skills he had acquired, Ogun became an unmatched leader in battle. He led armies into war with precision and strategy, inspiring loyalty and fear in equal measure. His warriors, trained in the sacred art of combat, were unstoppable. Ogun himself fought with unmatched strength, his iron weapons cutting through the enemy ranks like a force of nature. His leadership was not based solely on his power, but on his wisdom and his understanding of the battlefield. As Ogun's reputation as a war leader grew, he became a symbol of strength and justice. His name was spoken with reverence by those who sought to protect their lands, and his enemies learned to fear him. Yet, Ogun remained humble, always remembering his roots as the son of Yomoja and the god of creation. For Ogun, the fight was never about personal glory, but about ensuring that justice and peace prevailed. Despite his immense power and wisdom, Ogun was not invincible. He faced many trials throughout his life, each one challenging him in different ways. The first trial came when a powerful storm god, Sango, challenged Ogun's dominance over the earth's elements. Ogun, confident in his mastery of fire and iron, accepted the challenge. The two gods clashed in a battle that shook the heavens and the earth. Ogun fought with all his strength, but Sango's thunderous power was overwhelming. In the end, Ogun had to use his wisdom, rather than brute strength, to defeat Sango. He understood that the storm god's power was strongest in the air, so he used his control over iron to create a barrier that shielded him from Sango's strikes. The battle ended in a draw, but both gods learned valuable lessons about their own limitations. Ogun's trial had taught him that strength alone was not enough, wisdom and strategy were just as important in achieving victory. After countless victories and accomplishments, Ogun felt a calling from the heavens, a reminder of his divine origins. It was time for him to return to the celestial realm and join the other gods in their eternal council. Ogun, having fulfilled his earthly duties, ascended to the heavens, leaving behind a legacy that would live on forever. The people of the earth mourned his departure, but they knew that Ogun's spirit would always be with them, guiding them through times of war and peace. In the heavens, Ogun was welcomed as a hero and a god of great renown. He took his place among the other deities, watching over the world he had helped to create. Though he no longer walked among the people, his presence was still felt through the iron that forged civilizations and the warriors who carried his spirit into battle. Ogun's legacy was immortal, and his name would forever be spoken in awe and reverence. To honor Ogun and ensure his legacy lived on, the Yoruba people began a grand celebration each year in his name. The festival, known as the Feast of Iron, was a time of feasting, music, and dance, as well as a time for warriors to honor the god who had taught them the ways of combat. During this festival, the people would offer iron weapons, tools, and sacred items to Ogun, seeking his blessings for strength and protection. The celebration also included the forging of new weapons, a reminder of Ogun's divine power. Blacksmiths from across the land gathered to craft intricate pieces of art, each one infused with the spirit of Ogun. The air was thick with the sound of hammers striking anvils, and the fires burned bright, just as they had when Ogun first created his forge. The Feast of Iron became a time when the people felt the presence of their god most strongly, and they would leave the festival with renewed strength and resolve. Ogun's influence on the Yoruba people was profound and enduring. Long after his ascension to the heavens, his teachings continued to shape the lives of those who revered him. His legacy could be seen in the skill of blacksmiths, the valor of warriors, and the ingenuity of builders and craftsmen. Ogun had not only taught his people how to fight but how to live with honor and purpose. His spirit lived on in every hammer strike, every battle fought, and every tool crafted from iron. The world had been forever changed by Ogun's divine touch. His power, wisdom, and sacrifice had shaped the very foundation of Yoruba civilization. Ogun's legacy was not just a matter of iron and war, it was a testament to the strength of the human spirit and the divine power that guided it. And so, Ogun's name was spoken with reverence, not only in battle but in every aspect of life. Even in death, Ogun continued to watch over his people. His divine protection was felt in times of war and peace, and his presence could be sensed whenever iron was forged. The Yoruba people believed that Ogun's spirit dwelled in the tools they created and used, and they would often call upon him when facing danger. Whether it was a battle against invaders or a challenge in the village, the people knew that Ogun's strength would always be with them. It was said that whenever the people faced insurmountable odds, Ogun would appear in the form of a mighty warrior, his iron sword raised high. His mere presence would turn the tide of battle, inspiring courage in the hearts of those who fought for justice. Ogun's protection was not just physical, it was spiritual, a reminder that the god of iron and war was always watching, always ready to fight for those who fought for what was right. Ogun's flame burned eternally, a symbol of his unyielding power and spirit. It was said that the fire he had kindled in his forge could never be extinguished, and that it would burn for as long as there were those who believed in him. The flame became a sacred symbol for the Yoruba people, a reminder that Ogun's legacy would never fade. The fire was not just physical, it was a symbol of the divine spark that resided in every person who carried Ogun's teachings in their heart. Every year, a new flame was lit in Ogun's honor, and it would burn for days, weeks, or even months. The people would gather around the fire, offering their prayers and sacrifices, asking Ogun for strength, guidance, and protection. The flame became a focal point of the Yoruba people's devotion, and it was said that anyone who stood near it would feel Ogun's presence within them. Though Ogun had ascended to the heavens, there were times when he would return to earth in spirit, to remind the people of his teachings and to inspire them in their darkest moments. It was during these visits that the people would experience the full power of Ogun's presence. His return was marked by thunder, lightning, and the scent of iron in the air. The people would prepare elaborate rituals to honor Ogun's return, offering sacrifices and prayers to ensure his continued favor. During these visits, Ogun would often appear as a towering figure of strength, his body gleaming with iron armor, his eyes burning with the fire of creation. The people would gather around him, seeking his blessings and guidance. Ogun's presence would fill them with renewed courage, and they would leave his side with a newfound sense of purpose and determination. Ogun's wisdom was not limited to the battlefield. As the god of iron and war, he also played a vital role in guiding the leaders of the Yoruba people. The kings and chiefs who sought Ogun's counsel were often blessed with clarity and insight, making wise decisions that led their people to prosperity and peace. Ogun's leadership extended beyond the physical realm, it was a leadership of spirit and determination. One such king, after consulting Ogun, was able to defeat a rival kingdom through strategic warfare, ensuring the safety of his people. He ruled with the strength and wisdom that Ogun had imparted to him, becoming a beloved leader who was respected by all. The Yoruba people believed that as long as their leaders remained faithful to Ogun's teachings, they would always have victory in war and peace. As the centuries passed, Ogun's influence continued to shape the Yoruba people's culture. His teachings were passed down through generations, and the stories of his strength and wisdom became legends that were told around campfires and in royal courts. Ogun's legacy lived on not just in the iron tools and weapons crafted by his followers, but in the spirit of resilience and perseverance that he had instilled in the people. The New Age brought with it new challenges, but Ogun's teachings were timeless. His spirit continued to inspire those who walked with iron, those who fought for justice, and those who built civilizations from the ground up. Ogun's influence was felt not only in the physical world but also in the hearts and minds of those who carried his legacy into the future. Ogun's immortality was not just a matter of divine power, it was a reflection of the everlasting impact he had on the world. His name was etched into the fabric of existence, and his legacy continued to shape the destiny of the Yoruba people.